So we're going to analyze this. Trump says you struck. Well, Trump says that's the part we need to parse out of there. Islamic State targets in Nigeria after group targeted Christians. Now, security is in its life improvement infrastructure is the main opportune to solve all these problems, to eradicate completely ISIS and other organizations that are extremist and violent. But listen, the bombs have to keep being manufactured. The military-industrial complex needs to continue earning trillions of dollars a year from, like a parasite on the government. Now, so multiple things could be true in the same time. We have this military-industrial complex of these enormous corporations who build weapons and tanks and bombs and ICBMs and all of the above. They need to be a well-oiled machine. They need their oil. They need their money, US dollars, to keep functioning. Because if they don't, and they buy out all the politicians in Washington to do their bidding. Why is the only thing that passes Congress and gets signed by the president is going to defense contractors to build more tanks and bombs? Because they have so much power. So much power. It's so corrupt. Imagine all of the things we could solve. We don't even need to spend that money. Let's give it back to the people. It's not even printed up. Let's solve homelessness. Let's eradicate cancer. Let's, for sure, defend ourselves, because defense is important. But do we really need to spend over $1 trillion every year? Let's open it up to competition. Let's bring the future economy to the world, where we have competition, where we have small businesses with the opportunity to gain a greater share of the economy. This is kind of going off topic right now, okay? But what about post-capitalism, post-socialism, the economy of the future? Because all that's possible when you gear it with technology and smart technocratic policies that benefit the people. Yeah, that's all possible. But that's not going to happen with these corrupt parasites in Washington who have better health care than we do. They get paid a lot more than we do, and they work hardly at all. They don't really do anything. They just sit at the desk. That gets televised every once in a while. They already know the way they're going to vote because their special interest group, IPAC, whatever the hell it is, told them, okay, we sent you money for your election campaign. Now vote this way. They don't even write their own laws. The corporations write it for them. And then they just co-opt it. So anyways, now it's an emotional thing, really. It's a tit for tat. The ISIS or the Muslim or whatever, Islamic extremists go after the Christians. And then the Christians, of course, they want to go against, attack them. That doesn't solve the issue. That's an emotional reflex. Emotional reflex that solves nothing. It's just going to keep going and going. Wouldn't we want to solve the issue? First and foremost, bring finality to it. No, they just want to keep it going, keep kicking the can down the road, keep the murder the horror, the bombing, the insecurity, going and going and going, because that is in their best interest. Because imagine this. Who does peace and prosperity benefit? What does peace, like if we had worldwide peace, what would the defense manufacturers do? They would go out of business. That's what would happen. They would, disintegrate, basically, because they're nothing but parasites. Now, of course, we need the stuff, the technology to evolve into a better society. But so West Palm Beach, Florida, of course. That's where all the elites go so they can decide our future. We're just pawns in their little game of checkers. So, in a Christmas evening post on his social media site, Trump did not provide details or mention the extent of the damage caused by the strikes in Sokoto State. See, we wouldn't have any of these problems if we strengthen security, if we strengthen infrastructure, education, opportunity, because everyone should have an opportunity to work the job, the career that they enjoy. We should automate all of the nonsense, picking strawberries and all this. This is below and beneath humanity. But anyways, people are worried about tech, automation, eliminating their jobs because they have nothing else. Because the parasites who rule over us don't invest in our prosperity, in our training, in our entrepreneurship. They don't invest in us. They want us just to fend for ourselves, because when it's not voting season, they don't give a fuck. And when it is, all they have to do is pay lip service. That's all. So this is really the headline here, is how the military-industrial complex is continuing the bombing manufacturing, and how the orange blob is, resorting to political posterity to look good on Fox News and Newsmax and all this. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't really do anything. Now it's like a reflex. Like, oh yeah, they attacked us, so let's make them pay. Attack them. But that doesn't solve the issue. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't do anything, okay? You got to separate weakness from intelligence, okay? You do something, but you think 3 to 4 steps ahead, okay? If I do this, if I do X, what is the unintended consequences? And what are the intended consequences? See, that's what they don't do, because they're all corrupt. They're just yes men to their political, to their special interest groups. It's a corrupt piece of garbage, cesspit going on in Washington. And we need to change that. So, really, it doesn't make sense to even continue with this article, because it's just emotional reflex. That's all it is. That's all it is. One person believes one thing. Listen, ISIS only exists because there's a vacuum of insecurity. There's violence. There's laws and courts that don't work. That's what we need to put our investments in security for the people. But that's not going to happen, because the people don't serve the greater interest of the elites. They don't care about You know, they don't care about the poor and working class here. So, of course, they don't care about them in Nigeria either. You know, we need to strengthen the security. We need to have base layer laws and regulations to help alleviate poverty across the world. But that's not going to happen, you know. So when you read stuff like this, you know, bombing here, bombing there, it's either, you know, AIPAC kind of pulling on the chains of their corrupt politicians, or it's the defense you know, what they call it, defense manufacturing. Military industrial complex is big pharma. That's why, you know, Medicare cannot negotiate prices. So, you know, you just go on down the line. I could tell you all about it, really. Any headline you see, there's another headline that you're not seeing, okay? And that's all I'm going to say about this. So that's what Reform the World is about. Eradicating the corrupt military industrial complex. Putting the corrupt politician in prison. So they can finally serve the people by building the infrastructure of the future. But that's not going to happen until we get there. Okay? Reformtheworld.org. I have that Facebook group. Please subscribe, like, and all that. Thank you. Joseph Marazzulo.